It's real. It's actually real. And I got to play it. Matt Scott answers questions. And more. I think I might have had some dust in my eye there. So, on Friday, the 17th of April, at 11 AM PST, that's 7 PM BST, we finally got to see the new engine in action. No promo videos, no montages, just players playing. 15 streamers got to test the new engine, and I'm happy to say that I was one of the lucky few. I'm happy to report that it ran extremely well. The stutters were indeed non-existent, it looked great, and we had a lot of fun. Little Orbit have already said there are a few bugs here and there, but as you'll find out later, a certain CEO thinks we're very close to a public test. Since the way the new engine looks is definitely subjective, I'll shut up for now and let you form your own opinions. Please note that when footage from my stream is used, it won't look as crisp as it did when I was playing. I was too scared to record during the event. The second part of this video will be some of the main talking points from the question and answer session that followed the streams, split up into a few subcategories. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that sub button and that shiny bell if you want to be notified when my next news video hits. Remember, I'm only doing them when we get big news. Now let's see some action. New engine. Right, what we got? See how it's darker? Look at that. Look at that. They're all shooting already. Started without me. What? I don't get a grenade. Right, what's going on? So, can you see this? Can't even see.
The first question is there a bullet tracer?
Is there a bullet tracer? But that'll be a question for us.
It's a thing that's been asked for many years because it got eventually broken years ago. Like, I can't even remember tracers, but...
I killed Jack. Who is Jack? Who is Jack? Oh, sorry.
All I want to know, are they going to do something to help newbies? Because right now, newbie players get farmed and quit without new player game dies.
They've got to have, like, a proper low... Is Pound on my team? Was that Pound? Pound's on my team. Like, you know, Green District, let people stay there longer. Shaq seems happy.
That can only mean it's a follower.
Oh, welcome aboard, you rot.
That's right, they do.
Captain Knight, thank you very much for the follow. Hey, we're up to 50 right now, I think. 55. Bring your friends, man. Having a party, win some codes, capture it. Yes! Look at me helping out the team. Too late, Pound, I got it. Oh, I love them. I love the tracers. They're ace.
I'm just gonna copy a couple of the questions that regard the matchmaking.
Kill someone and type in chat. Good night. Like to see the asylum used as social district. That'd be interesting.
I don't know if you've been at that question. Can you show us if the chat is any different?
The chat? As in just the normal people talking? That's the only chat in the game, isn't it? It's got to be. Well, it's different for me. It's bolder.
Yeah, it's a different font as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why... Dance for us. I don't know what dances have we got. Is it F11? I've got coin toss.
Are you allowed to put the FPS counter on?
Looks more clear. Oh, the fonts, yes. Oh, you know what? How about the people's names when they're grey? Because everyone's name looks clearer as well, which is nice. So hopefully,
it's all a different font. It's
yeah,
all
yeah.
a bit thicker.
It's just thicker, isn't it? Bolder. So hopefully, when it's grey and we're doing events, I can actually find out who people are a bit easier.
How you are going to handle the lack of plays? Do you have a plan for any advertisement?
That's a good question as well.
That is a good question.
Yeah, because people have been thinking like this should be advertising. They've been saying stuff like, why aren't you getting Summit? Summit likes APB, get Summit. But I don't think right now they want to be fully advertising it. This is
No.
more for us, I think. Us, the players, who've been waiting a long, long time.
I mean, it's a necessary step to be able to advertise the game at some point.
Look at me just running in different... Oh, come on. Couldn't kill Jack. Do you think the new engine will bring all the old players or even new players? That's as good. Is that for me or is that for Matt? I personally think when the new engine is hit on live, loads of people are going to come back to try it. And they're either going to like it and stay for a bit, or they'll be disappointed and they'll go. But at the start, loads of people are definitely going to come back. Because just so many people have been waiting for it. Who's no jump scout? I see the model still bugs a little when people shoot and sprint at the same time. You know what? I don't notice anything like that. Maybe it does, though. This is new. Some folks are shooting while the gun is... Oh, that thing. Yes, I know what you mean. That's what happened when someone killed me, just. That's why they killed me. Because I was going easy on them because I thought they were shooting in the sky. This looks totally different. Do you see what I mean about not looking as red? It looks like real bricks. It actually looks like the bricks are sticking out. Like they've got depth to it. I think I just took a screenshot. And the walls look a bit more... They're not high, massively high res, but they look good from this distance. And it looks really good from that distance, actually. I should have got a car. I've just got my Calabria. Should I go for a lap? See what the handling's like.
That can only mean it's a follower.
Oh, welcome aboard, you rot.
That's right, they do.
8 blocks off. Watchtower, thank you very much for the follow. That's not usually there, is it?
That's new.
Hang on a second. Do you remember when Asylum first got out? I don't think I'll be able to do it. Asylum first got out, and people actually escaped Asylum. Do you remember that?
I never did it myself, but I think I heard about it, yes.
I feel like I could have made that then. More Cower. This is the beta. It is indeed. This is 2.1. Blocked by an invisible wall, yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if I was just running off into like Midtown or whatever, whilst everyone else is just killing each other? I would love that. Who we got? We got in my team. Oh, we got Gordo's in my team, Skays in my team, Roosh Gaming, Frozy Lol, Pub Subs, Bill Ruger, Chiamu, Entech, Captain Croc. Come on, hold it. I feel like it wasn't as bumpy as it usually is. Do the cars have new weight? Oi! No! No! Let me go! Oh, I think it's the same. I've never done this in a Calabria, but... Oh! Oh, yeah, we don't usually go that way, do we? Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this feels pretty normal, I think. It's weird how there's some bits that are just slightly different. Arnold Schwarzenegger car control. Let's just do one lap and then go. Where does that lead to? See, I'm not really sure how a Calabria would usually cope here. Ooh, what happened there? Let's go. Now, how long do you reckon that take? I'm on a normal hard drive, by the way. My normal game is on SSD, but I've put this on a normal hard drive, so I think that is pretty darn fast for a normal hard drive. I'm also using a Whisper now. Oh, hello. Ah! Surely that should have killed him. Ah! Too many. Skay got me. Driving around on console is madness. Hey, on console, can you use the analog acceleration? Do you plan to do anything with clans for now? Is it just to have friends packed in the group? Another decent... Cammy's coming up with all decent questions. This just looks better than it. shines, the light shines off it. Not like RTX shining off it, but it just looks good. Right. Got someone at least. More real, yeah. Asylum looks so much better. It looks good and rough. Yeah. That's right. I think it looks more lived in, looks more aged. Looks more like an actual asylum that was maybe built in the 60s or the 50s or something, and it's just run down. Don't know why not the 50s. Because they were all just like rocking around the clock. Followed me. Oh, what? I should have killed him by now. There we go.
You subscribe to Witch Queen. You are awesome.
There we go. Thank you, Saxtus. I mean, I don't mean there we go. You finally sub. Thank you, Saxtus. I mean, there we go. There's the sound. And thank you, Saxtus. I don't know if you heard me. I was saying thank you earlier. Yeah, my sensitivity settings aren't quite right, and it's just putting me off slightly. Not that
That can only mean it's a follower.
Oh, welcome aboard, you rock.
Oh,
That's right,
crap.
they do.
There's a whisper as well. It's too fast. Someone help me kill Gordo.
I mean, what have we got? We've got the whole newbie and matchmaking question.
Yep. I mean...
We've got what cup size is Matt? Midtown and Enforcer Social is left.
Ah, good question, yeah. Well then, Yeedman. Oh, shit! Assistance? I mean, all of these, you might as well. Add. And then we'll decide at the end. But anyone who's been here for most of the stream, or a decent amount of the stream, and asked a question. We're going to put in. You still there?
They've got SK talking nonsense right now. Huh? He's good at that.
It's his birthday today, though, so we should wish him happy birthday later. No, something about when we get the engine update. Well, like, as in time. Will they remove the R95 for certain mods? That's a good question. Because some people hate that. The fact that it takes so long to get those. Because there's loads of good mods that get unlocked then, aren't they?
They have them in the Joker ticket store for limited time.
That's true. That's true. You can get them now. Possible to migrate my character from NA to EU? I don't think it is. However, they are hoping to migrate, well, push all the servers together, merge them all. So rather than, like, everyone will be together and you can choose your district based on what ping you get in for each district. Sorry, Pound.
The names of the servers. And I thought on NA they even have servers or district servers in different locations, so I think that is already a field test towards migrating the servers together. There
we go. Emily's got to be a dev. I know 1050 is not an amazing graphics card, but it should be decent enough for this, shouldn't it? Ugh. Stop moving around. Stop following.
Oh my.
Right there. Okay, I'm not even. Stop following him. Just wait. So annoying. That was terrible. Sorry, Edmund.
So in
in about 2 to 3 minutes. Ah! So we'll raid, and thank you very much for coming. I've had a good time. It's been fun. It's been good to see the engine and what it looks like and everything. So goodbye, Asylum. And take care. And hope to see you again in another stream in the future. So let's raid Little Orbit and see how they're doing. After the dust had settled on the dead bodies in Asylum, Little Orbit's CEO, Matt Scott, sat down with SK to answer some burning questions from the community. Times of various topics are in the description below, and if you want to read a transcript of the Q&A, then Kevkov has put that together for us, and links are below. I really wish I knew about it before I edited all this together, though.
Beta. It is real, and it is not fake.
Let's get to it.
Will the netcode improve with the current engine, as you are saying everybody's working on it? So will the tangible benefits be client-side and server-side?
Yeah, you'll see a lot of server-side enhancements. The clients, the server-side on 2.1 has had a ton of work on it, and there's actually a lot of different features in there. I can't say that we're completely clear of that. I think we did get some reports, even I think in last night's playtest, of some ghost shots with some specific guns and things like that. So there's some work to be done, but I believe it's better than live. We got a lot of optimizations in there. Absolutely. I mean, look, a large part of what's happening right now with graphics cards is they're being moved to 64-bit. So we're seeing the same problems that, the main live engine has. That's going to proliferate. We're going to see more of that. And so, like, internally, I know we're on a clock. There's no option to not ship the new engine, because the more graphic cards that come out, the more computers get upgraded. The live game is going to perform worse and worse. We have a lot of systems now with a lot of cores and a lot of processors that are slower. Each individual processor is slower than what we used to have, and so that's where the current live version of the game just falls down. It can't take advantage of all those cores.
Will the multi-threading benefit those who are, let's say, a quad-core or an octa-core, for instance, with threading? As current hardware is, like, the Intel stack is 6 threads, 8 threads, 12 threads. Will the multi-threading benefit these people as well? And, not just those who are able to brute force it with more cores, really.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think as long as you have, more than 2, you're going to benefit from multi-threading, and most hardware today is above 2. I think the current live game, at least on my Ryzen setup, I'm using like 40% of the CPU, sometimes less. It just, the live game is just not really capable of taking advantage of that kind of a machine. I've seen, at least in the new engine, around 70%. So pretty big uptick there in terms of how much of the CPU we can use. Same thing with GPU usage. I've definitely seen an increase in what we can, get out of the GPU in terms of performance. So I would say absolutely, people should see a lot higher utilization of both the CPU and GPU.
Let's get to it.
I think the texture crispness is better. We definitely, some of the elements in the game are done with, they're not vectors, but they are stuff that benefit from up-res sizes. And so so the fidelity of characters definitely looks better, in my opinion. I want the game to look as good as it can look. We're not going to get PBR rendering in this engine. It's just not something that Unreal 3.5 was designed to do. There has been some upgrades here. I think you guys can see upgraded textures and better normal maps and some other things here. Me personally, I'm all about, let's just ship the game. There's so many benefits in the engine outside of the fidelity. It does look a little better. The lighting is a completely different lighting model, but I'd rather just get it into players' hands, because the unified code base makes it so much easier to work with.
Is the anti-aliasing methods being investigated currently?
Yep.
As in, is there more types of anti-aliasing being implemented? I know NVIDIA and AMD have their own versions of anti-aliasing. Are you guys looking into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any active anti-aliasing right now. I think it got broke in the engine upgrade. So when they were doing work prior to us, so we're still going through and cleaning that up. I think that'll make the game look obviously a lot better. But it's work in progress. Absolutely, we're looking at like you said, some of the individual methods that can be done on the card or cheaper.
Let's get to it.
Are there any plans for UI changes, or will the game keep its current look?
So I'm going to give the same kind of look. We changed the time of day there. I'm going to give the same kind of answer. I think with UI, we're going to keep the same kind of look. I don't want to go into that rabbit hole. There are plenty of optimizations I would love to do because I think there's just places in the UI we could streamline and make a lot more easy to use. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole and delay the game any longer than it's been delayed. I think part of the purpose of the weekly blog is to just show you guys like what we're doing, and we're not just sitting on this, wasting everybody's time or pretending like we're working on it. Like the vast majority of the team spends every day working on this. There's a lot of questions I think in the chat about the tutorial, and just straight out that needs work. Our new player experience needs work. I would ask everybody, in the community, we're certainly growing. We're getting thousands of new players a day right now. Please be kind to these players. A lot of them have no idea what they're doing. They're going through that god-awful tutorial, coming out of the tutorial with no idea about progression and how roles work with weapons and how to really play the game. And I think, that is something we have to address. But I'm really looking for the community to help us out in the meantime, just in the short term, where we need to finish what we're doing with the engine upgrade, get the matchmaking sorted, and then just go through and take a hatchet to the current tutorial and rebuild that, I think, from the ground up, because you don't really walk away from the tutorial knowing anything about the real game. I mean, you get like a character mod, you don't even get a gun mod or understand that sort of progression that is so crucial to getting better in the game. That's absolutely going to get looked at. The question is basically, are we looking to adjust the rank lock modifications? And because a lot of mods and equipment are locked and lower rank players can't get them, and that's absolutely a problem. I think if you guys have followed me on Twitter, I've been highlighting a little bit of some recent videos that were pointed out, and it's just something we need to make the game more new player friendly, I think, because they do come in at a bit of a disadvantage. That's a great question. It's not in the works yet. I would love to see a small amount of PvE content in the game. There's just some things I'd love to do for the new player, actually. But I think at its heart, APB is a PvP game, and there's a reason why RTW didn't put an AI system in the game. So we don't want to make it any heavier than it already is. The hope is yes. Again, I'm not going to hold it back, but very quickly, we want to get everything that we want players to be able to do. We want it in the settings. We don't want people to have to edit configs. I will say this. I mean, the config file, there's one main config file. Editing that config file is basically what you do with the settings editor in game, right? So when you're choosing settings, it's writing that out to a file, editing the file. That's going to still be possible. However, the new engine encrypts and locks down 95% of the files. So there will be a lot less that you can do with this new engine than you could do with live. It's not even possible. So the idea is to just put what we want into settings, and that way everybody will have access to it. Things like auto sprint and poor Pound, I know he plays with that config and was severely gimped today. We didn't want to mess with that today. We nearly opened that up, but today everybody played no configs, everybody played equal. So but the goal is to also do that for the new engine. Just let's get it all in the setup.
Is it possible for you to make your inventory unlimited with a search bar? I think that was one of the next things.
That's inventory is a problem right now. I know we need to do some extending, and there is a quality of life project that's already been designed and worked on that I think will rework inventory in a very, very positive way. I'm not going to go into details on this stream, but there is a solution coming. It's not necessarily about extending the inventory. I think that's fine. Adding more inventory is great. I think searching the inventory, getting to the inventory in a different way, shifting to more unlocks and less permanent buys where you got to leave things in the mail or that sort of thing. I think just the way we're managing some of the inventory is going to change, I think, in a positive way.
There's a lot of people that actually just use the mail system for storage like that. So
which is terrible, right? I mean, I know they're doing what they have to do, but the fact that they have to abuse a different system to try to do that is terrible. Yeah, colorblindness has come up quite a bit. We have a member of our staff who is colorblind, so it's something that we talk about, when we have time for it. I would put custom crosshairs again down the list a bit, just because we have so many other pressing critical needs. But my hope is that we're at that level doing that kind of work soon, because that means we've crossed everything else off our list in terms of matchmaking and phasing and district allocation and a bunch of other things. To Rectigator, I don't know. You're asking a good question about the copying designs from a car that has one slot to a car that has two slots. It's something we need to take care of, but it's a little bit further down the list.
Let's get to it.
someone mentioned earlier weather, and the engine has support for weather. It's something we'd like to do a little more of, so that on random days you'll see a little bit more variation in the lighting and in the time of day. It's the whole system is actually called our weather system internally. So it was always designed to have a little more variation in what we could do, so people aren't constantly staring at the same day-night cycle. It won't launch immediately with the beta, but it's the next major thing we're putting in, and a ton of work has been done server-side for this for 2.1, and that is the way districts will expand and collapse. So in off-peak times, we're actually going to be dynamically scaling the threat levels so we can get everybody either onto one server or multiple servers, but basically reducing contracting how threat works so you can get matches. And then during peak times, we're actually going to be subdividing threat even further than it is now, so that we're getting very, very closely matched players on each district. And that's part of what we call district allocations. It's in the new system, but this idea of being able to scale dynamically and get people to the right server so that they're getting matched a lot better. I have seen a couple comments about dethreading, and I'm gonna echo what Kaida said, and that is, I think dethreading is a multi-sided issue, and I think that I'm going to be optimistic. Let's say I think most people dethreat because they can't get matched in gold, or they can't get matched in the district they want. There are some there that want to go grief newbies, which is just awful, right, for the game. Like, we want our new players have it rough enough. Please don't dethreat down to bronze and start taking out newbie characters. That's not fun. But we're hoping that the changes to district allocation, phasing, and some of the things we're doing with matchmaking will vastly improve this, because the big problem is you have the server in peak time and you have the server in off-peak time, and you can't have the same level of discretion in terms of how threat works, because you won't get good matches. So sort of collapsing districts down to keep a high player population and expanding the bands that make up threat, so you just get matches in general. And then as peak happens, you slice and dice those down further, and you got more servers now, but you have a lot tighter band of what the threat level should be. So the concept, I think, of threat is really going to go away, and that's another thing. I don't think the dethreaders will have a clear target. There's not going to be necessarily like, oh, I'm silver, I need to dethreat to bronze. Like that marker is not going to be there, so it's just going to be a little more tricky to do. Phasing is in there. That's a big one, to be able to kind of phase people in and out of instances to balance things a little better. We've got some kind of fun ideas about getting console players into social alongside PC players, and being able to use the economy back and forth, and the customizations, which are harder to do on console and easier to do on PC, and having them kind of transfer back and forth. There's a lot of benefits in the engine in general. I'm tempted not to over noodle the visuals right now and just get it into the player's hands. Someone mentioned private districts, and I do want to give a nod today to, I hope the streamers had a good time. I know it's a kind of a good feeling to be in a district playing against competitors where you know that everybody's using the same configuration. No one's using anything different, and our goal is really that every player gets to have that experience. We're really looking on working on ideas and things where we can try to get that experience, because that's when people, I think, have the most fun, right? If you're doing missions and hey, everybody's on equal footing, then that's a pretty good time. I don't know if we can do private districts, but certainly that topic has come up with respect to esports and some other things. We work really hard on the cheats, the anti-cheat, and our ability to detect cheats, the reporting system, and things like that. I'm not going to even pretend that we're perfect. No game is, but it's just something we continue. Oh, it looks nice. Something we continue to do.
The spawn system, will that also have a look at?
We made a lot of improvements to the spawn system for Riot, and then obviously had to pull that back. So that's one of the things I'd like to reintegrate with some of what we're doing just for regular gameplay. But I don't know that's going to happen prior to the full launch. Again, it's kind of on that list. It's something we want to deal with and make better. It's a tricky problem to solve, because there's it's all about view distance and what you can see versus other characters. So trying to make that work is tricky. We have some limitations on the spawn points.
Do you have any plans on doing map balancing or changing of sections of maps that already exist? So, for instance, stuff like choke points. Waterfront. Waterfront.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know that we're gonna look. I mean, Real Time World did a great job on the vast majority of financial. Those are, each block is its own mini map. I don't know that I want to tweak with that a whole lot. I think they spent a lot of work there. I think Waterfront needs some work in certain areas, but I think we're gonna have to be pretty judicious about that. I don't want to create dependencies. So like, I don't want to say, oh, we have to finish this before we release the engine. I just want to get the engine out. So many benefits there, and then we'll continue to iterate. It doesn't stop there. That's really just where we get started.
Let's get to it.
Do you think we will see an expansion of the current modes we have? So we have Action District right now, we have Fight Club. Will there be any expansion to something like Demolition Derby? I know somebody's asked that in the chat twice, actually. They asked that a few minutes ago and then a minute ago. But what are your thoughts on expanded game modes for APB?
Yeah, one of the things we're engaging with, it's a little bit of a skunk works project on the side, but we're digging through all of the old missions, all the old content to see what we can polish up. We also built, I want to say, about 10 subsystems for Riot mode that are just really cool outside of the mode itself. But they're just things that we'd love to build new mission content around, that could be really fun to play with. The Racing District, of course, comes up a lot, and it's something that I absolutely want to do, but it's on the list, right? So certainly I think it's a great idea. It's just something we need to get to, and there's a couple other competing things. Will
we see a return of Riot, or will we see a return of its core functionality in a new light? I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. I think there are some interesting subsystems in Riot. It was not a very well received, or frankly, a perfectly executed mode. So I don't think so. I think we'll have to, but I do want to take, there are some pieces that I really like. Someone mentioned the map from Riot, which is also, there are some very cool map changes. The downside to the Riot map is you can't have vehicles, so it's definitely a different feel. Trying to run across that district is tricky because you can't jump into a car.
This is a public service announcement from the Red Hill Institute of Technology. If you wish to safely evacuate the city, please head to the safe zone. There you will find transport waiting.
No! Stop trying to make a clan run!
I do want to bring back some of the out of bounds, allowing players who are not in missions to just kind of have fun and go out of bounds. I think there's no harm in that. So it's something we've been toying with.
Let's get to it.
One person asked a question of how many leftover assets are there that we could potentially use, or is available to Elo to be able to be used?
There's quite a bit. The first one that I'd love to see go in the game is the new car that they did, which is an entirely new car. It's not a kit, and so it's lacking a little bit of polish. And we need to, as a company, we have not yet dialed in getting a car into the game because it was never glued up in the data. So it's just something we haven't had a ton of time to finalize. Because again, we got a couple other things, just higher priority things. But I definitely would like to see that going. So the new car, there might be a little bit of gun assets. I don't think it's a complete gun, but there's some stuff floating around in there. We had the two new contacts, which were fully voiced already when we took over. So I'm excited about those two new contacts going in. And I mean, I think we've exhausted most of the clothing. I don't think there's any clothing sitting around. There's two new contacts. We have a new. The EMP is the biggest, newest thing on them, which I think we've talked about briefly. But there's a brand new little bit of gameplay we're introducing there. Anti-vehicle gameplay with the EMP. They do have weapons on them. We're pulling weapons that were maybe paid only or off of Armas and putting them on the new contacts. And then I think they have some new clothing, which hasn't been shown yet. That'll be final launch of the engine. So we're going to go through those stages I mentioned earlier. Phase 1, which is just Asylum and Social, and then phase 2 being the addition of all the rest of the districts, and for beta, and then the final launch. So on the final launch, we're hoping to put all that into the game, so people will have something new to actually play. we're not planning new districts. And by the way, I have seen the fan-made Midtown. It's coming along quite nice. It's an impressive amount of work that he's done on that. So we're chatting. I don't want to put any illusions out there in terms of like us taking that and putting it in the game. It's a great project, and I am following it. And look, if it's viable at all to put that content in the game, then it's something we'll definitely look at. But I think right now the important part is to not add new districts. I want the current districts to be populated so people can progress roles and rank. And I think splitting people off into new districts would be maybe a bad idea. That's definitely something I want to do down the road.
Let's get to it.
I see in the chat here while you're setting up the name release. So let's talk about that, the name release. We're switching gears a little bit. The name release is still going to happen in a way. We're gonna go through and clean out some of the old names. We want to give people enough time to come claim them. Specifically, what we're going to do though is we're going to change the strategy of names so that we can allow for someone to have effectively conflicting names. It's similar to what happens on Discord. I think there's just as things have improved over time. People, servers and new systems have come up with better ways to handle naming in general. So we're taking a little bit of a page from other systems to figure out a better way to handle naming. Can we have a way to earn G1C without paying? I don't think you'll ever be able to get G1C without paying. I think we are all in on trying to make Joker tickets more viable. They are in some ways, we can think of them as kind of the paid currency of APB. You got APB dollars you can earn, and Joker tickets. I think we're trying to shift into a mode where G1C is outside the game. It's Armas and it's account unlock, whereas Joker tickets is character unlocked and earnable. And so all of the content hopefully can be unlocked on a character level with Joker tickets.
Joker tickets, that'll actually smooth us on nicely. What can we expect with Joker tickets?
There's a lot there. We've been gradually making changes to Joker tickets. That's one of the bigger places we've actually made changes to. There are more coming. I think we've been very conservative there because it's tied directly to things that have earned us and the company money and kept the game afloat. So we want to be somewhat careful, but we've tried to also really take a hard look at stuff and try to make it less abusive, less heavily monetized, and try to add ways to for people to collect the guns just through Joker tickets, right? And so we need to get more clothing in there. We need to get more stuff off of Armas and into the Joker ticket store. One thing we're working on is a redesign of the Joker ticket store entirely. So when you go to social, there's going to be that whole area is going to get remodeled to better showcase what we have there for players. Right now it's just this tiny little menu, and you have to kind of scroll through it to kind of find things. It's even as few things as we have in the Joker store now, it's still pretty cluttered. So we want a slightly better experience there for people to go find stuff.
Let's get to it.
What kind of ad would you like to see on the big screen or on the small screen?
Sure. I personally, I love that video, the BL You Can't Be. I think we're going to be doing some stuff with that in a smaller way. But there's a whole, I think, series of marketing steps. And I've seen this question kind of come up on the feed here. And that is, when are we going to start advertising, or when are we going to start marketing the game? And I think that's a three-prong approach there. I think there's some stuff we're actually going to start immediately right now. I would love to build up the Jericho player base right now. So we're going to be doing some very specific marketing to East Coast and West Coast former players to let them know that we've got dedicated servers now in LA and New York. Latency's great. They're fast servers, and we'd love to see them more populated. So I think there will be some direct marketing that is really designed to it's an awareness campaign. I think you got to see a little bit. I think you're in the know a little bit on what that looks like and some of those ad campaigns, that sort of thing. So that's the first one, and then the second one will be around the beta, and just creating awareness around the beta. Again, just paid advertising on all the standard places. We're partnered with Google on some things and some other partners there, and then ultimately just the full launch. That's where I think we can really invest, because we've sort of delivered something that I think fans of this game have been waiting for a very long time. So I think you'll see those three things. One, right now we're about to start some marketing around New York and LA, and then the beta as we roll that out, and then the final launch. The big one, and I know this came up in a couple other streams, and as the estimate of when the new engine will go live permanently, I think it's going to go in stages. We specifically have spent a lot of time on social and Asylum because they were the closest, and so we kind of wanted to get those done. I mean, it's a very big game, as everybody knows. It was more than $100 million spent on this, and so rather than try to do everything at once and hit a home run and have it continue to take so long, we're going to release to the general public the open beta with Asylum and with social, and we're going to do that for a couple reasons. Just we need to get more large-scale testing for districts so that we can continue to optimize things like frame rates with more characters, in the game and that sort of thing. And so stage one is to get this, what you're seeing here, the beta, into the hands of players, which will have Asylum and the social, and give us a little bit of chance to finish up the work on Waterfront and Financial. And then as a second release, we're going to do iterations of that, and then the next stage would be to release Financial and Waterfront in beta, and kind of tweak those out. Obviously, we can throw Crate and some of the other districts in there too at that point. And then the third stage will be to transition everybody, right? So when everybody goes to go download, it will patch 2.1, and everybody will be cut over running 2.1. I will say this: we have one blocker right now, and it's a good problem to have, but our servers are fairly full. So even for this, we had to kind of set aside resources to run this beta, and we're looking towards that timeline of when we want to open the beta to everybody. And one of our big blockers is just we need more servers because we're kind of capping out what we have right now in live. I would say, from my perspective at least, that social is pretty good to ship. I think Asylum's mostly good to ship. There definitely are a couple areas in there I still want to patch up that we found that just needed to be reworked, from UVs to some of the other stuff. But these two districts are getting pretty close. The Financial and Waterfront aren't quite as far along, but I don't want to hold the beta back up for those.
I think we need to ask this question. Do you have any idea of when it'll be released?
So I don't want to avoid this question. I think it's a critical question. In fact, the truth is, as soon as humanly possible. There was, in the back of my mind, there was a fantasy of releasing it today and just saying, hey, everybody go have that. It's not there yet. It would be a disaster if we released it today. We still have crash bugs. We still have a little bit of work to go. I would say that we are closer than we've ever been. I like how both these districts are coming along. I think that we've got to fix the UI slowdown, and we've got to fix the performance game loop kind of issues. But we're close. I know that the meme, the sort of soon TM. I want to avoid that, but I would say we're within weeks, not months. So I think we're getting very close. Someone's asking about, I think, September for the engine. It's funny. I put out dates in the past, and then we, for various reasons, we have not hit those dates. I will be very, very disappointed if we don't get this engine update out by September. That I want it out a lot sooner than that.
Thanks to the whole team at Little Orbit, who are working tirelessly to breathe life into this decade-old game. Thanks to SK for hosting the Q&A, thanks to the streamers for showing us the goods, and thanks to the APB community for actually existing and being nowhere near as toxic as people are led to believe. Finally, thanks from me for watching. I'll see you next time, but until then, drop by my stream or tweet me on Twitter. I've been Witch Queen, and I'm off to find the person with the onions. And that was it. I had to log out, wondering when would be the next time I log in to APB 2.1. Soon, hopefully. Not soon TM.
Yeah, and I will give a shout out to Witch Queen, by the way, who has Hi Mom on the back of his shirt.
Where's right on.